The sand stirs as I walk, welcoming me like an old friend, who remembers every sorrow I buried in its warmth. It rises softly around my ankles, as if urging me to release more of what I hide. The night deepens, and the stars spill across the sky, like scattered diamonds on black silk. Their light glides over the dunes, and suddenly, the whole desert feels alive with quiet understanding. I sit beside a tall dune that curves like the spine of a giant. The wind hums low, brushing through my hair, with the gentleness of a hand I long ago lost. Here, in this vast emptiness, I feel seen. The sand leans close, wrapping my shadow in its embrace. I tell it the pieces of myself I never dared to share, the things I regret, the love I lost, the battles I fought in silence. And the desert listens without judgment, its stillness deeper than any forgiveness I've known. A soft warmth radiates upward, as though the sand carries the sunlight of the past, and offers it back to me to rekindle the dim places inside my heart. I close my eyes and breathe, letting the desert's ancient rhythm steady my pulse. Every whisper of wind feels like a reminder that the world is larger than my pain, yet gentle enough to hold it. The sand knows my secret, and somehow I no longer fear that truth. In this endless silence, my heart begins to loosen, slowly, timidly, bravely, learning to beat again without the weight of what I once buried. The night wraps itself around me, and still the sand keeps watch, protecting the pieces of my story that only the desert and I will ever understand. The sand knows my secret, and still it stays gentle with me, as if my truth were a small bird cupped within its warm hands. I walk forward, letting the night wrap itself around my shoulders, letting the desert carry what I can no longer bear alone. The wind moves softly, as though careful not to disturb my thoughts. Every breath I take tastes of old stories and new beginnings. The dunes rise like waves frozen in time, and I ride their curves with quiet hope. My heart, once heavy, begins to loosen its knots. The sand listens to every unspoken word, to every quiet confession I hide behind my eyes. It listens without expectation, without judgment. Somewhere in the distance, a lonely star trembles, its light spilling across the desert like a blessing. I feel that blessing settle on my skin, reminding me that even in silence I am heard. The desert teaches me the art of stillness, the courage to sit with my own truth. Here, nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. Healing arrives slowly, like dawn brushing against the horizon. I press my hand into the sand again, feeling its warmth seep into my palm. It feels like acceptance, like a promise that my secret is safe. The wind hums softly, guiding me deeper into this vast embrace. I follow, trusting the rhythm beneath my feet, trusting the land that has never betrayed me. And as the night grows thicker, as the sky scatters its jewels of light, I realize that the desert does not merely know my secret. It understands it. The moon leans closer as if trying to hear my quiet thoughts. I feel its light washing over the sand, over me, over the truth I buried. The night grows gentle, softer than I expected, and the desert becomes a sanctuary woven from silence. I sit on a dune and let the stillness surround me. Somewhere far away, a lonely wind wanders without a destination. Its sound curls around my shoulders like a shawl. I close my eyes and breathe in the cool desert night. The sand warms underneath, holding the memory of the day. It feels like a hand resting under my heart. A support I didn't know I needed. A comfort that doesn't ask questions. The secret inside me stirs, softened by the desert's embrace. It no longer feels like a burden. More like a truth waiting to transform. A truth that needed space to breathe. I let my fingers sift through the grains. They slide like tiny rivers flowing where they want. Every grain carries a story older than mine. Every grain reminds me that nothing is ever truly lost. The silence becomes a companion rather than an emptiness, a presence that listens without judgment, a presence that knows heartbreak and hope equally, a presence that speaks only in feeling, never in words. I lean back and stare at the sky spilling with stars. They shimmer like distant memories trying to return. The desert holds all of them, just as it holds me, endless, patient, loyal. In this moment, I'm not afraid of what I carry. The sand has made room for it, for me, for everything. It tells me that secrets do not define who I am. Only the courage to face them does. The wind lifts again, brushing past my cheek. Almost like reassurance. Almost like a promise that the night will protect what I gave it. Almost like a reminder that dawn is always waiting. I rise slowly, letting the night settle around me. The dunes shift like shadowed waves. The stars whisper softly, and the sand, quiet and loyal, keeps my secret safe. The night folds around me like a velvet memory, and the desert becomes a cathedral of quiet truths. I walk through the soft darkness, feeling the earth breathe beneath my feet. Every step feels like opening another door in my heart. The sand glows faintly under the pale moon, as if it carries its own hidden fire. I let my thoughts scatter like grains in the wind, knowing the desert will gather them gently. It holds everything without fear or hesitation. I kneel again and touch the cool surface, feeling its ancient pulse travel into my skin. Here, where time moves differently, I am not burdened by the weight I carry in the world beyond the dunes. The sand knows my secret, but it never tries to change it. It simply holds space for it to exist. A kindness I never knew I needed. In its silence, I feel understood. The stars drift slowly overhead, watching like companions who speak in light. Their glow wraps around me, gentle as a lover's hand on a trembling cheek. I close my eyes and breathe in the quiet. The sand knows my secret, and tonight the desert feels like a library of unsaid words. Each dune a chapter of someone's hidden sorrow. Each grain a memory that once tried to escape the heart. I walk with the wind at my side, its warm breath curling around my shoulders. Like an old friend who knows when to speak and when to stay silent. The moon stretches her silver hands across the dunes, and I feel them on my skin. Cool, tender, forgiving. She sees everything I bury beneath my calm face, everything I hide behind quiet smiles. I sit at the highest dune, feeling the sand rearrange itself beneath me, as if making room for my tired spirit. The desert never rejects the fragile, never turns away the broken. My thoughts drift like dust in a slow wind. I remember the things I never said, the love I swallowed because fear was louder than desire, the apologies I never made, the hope I pretended not to want. The sand listens. It receives every thought, every hesitation, every trembling confession. It never interrupts. It only accepts. I lean back, letting the sky spill its stars across my vision. Some shine like promises, some like warnings, some like reminders that even the smallest spark can survive the darkest night. The desert hums a soft, ancient sound, a song older than cities, older than human wounds, a lullaby for hearts that wander too far. I close my eyes. I let the earth hold me like a truth I can finally trust. And in that silence, in that breathless moment where time dissolves, I tell the sand more of my secret, not in words this time, but in the rhythm of my pulse, in the trembling of my chest, in the quiet surrender of finally being honest. The sand shifts, moving like it understands. It curls around my palms, cool yet comforting, like it wants to pull the hurt from my skin, grain by grain. I stay there for a long time, listening to the night breathe, listening to my own heartbeat steady itself after so many storms. The sand knows my secret, and somehow that makes me feel less alone than I have felt in years. The desert hushes as I breathe out the feelings I never learned to name, and the sand receives them like ancient scripture written in warmth. I sit beside a dune that curls like a sleeping giant, and it leans into me as though it has waited lifetimes for my return. The night deepens, and every star feels like an old companion. My secret drifts between the grains, part memory, part ache, part unfinished prayer. The desert never tries to fix me. It simply accepts, endlessly, quietly. There is a strange beauty in being understood by something so vast. I close my eyes and let the wind wrap around me. It touches my face like the hands of someone I once loved. Soft, careful, almost apologetic. I whisper into the darkness, hoping the desert hears the truth beneath my trembling voice. The sand responds with a gentle shiver, as if telling me that secrets do not make me weak. They make me human. And in this endless landscape, being human feels allowed again. I rise slowly and walk deeper into the desert's heart. The dunes glow under the moonlight like waves made of time. They remind me that everything changes, yet everything lasts in its own quiet way. The sand keeps shifting, but my confession remains anchored beneath it. I run my fingers through the ground, letting the grains slip past like fleeting moments. Some cling to my skin, refusing to let go. Maybe they recognize me. Maybe they know that even silence is a kind of truth. The wind hums a melody older than language. It carries stories of wanderers who came before me, souls who left pieces of themselves behind. Just as I am leaving mine now, the desert remembers all of them. And it remembers me. My secret feels different now. Not heavy, not frightening, but softened by the warmth of the sand. It has become part of the desert's endless song, a quiet verse hidden between shifting dunes. I breathe, and for the first time in a long while, the breath feels free. The night wraps itself around me like a cloak. Protective, gentle, serene. The sand beneath me hums with promise. A reminder that even buried truths can bloom again. The sand knows my secret, the one I buried with trembling hands beneath the soft glow of a shy moon. It curls around my ankles like a quiet friend who refuses to let me walk alone. Every breath of wind across the dunes carries a memory I once tried to erase. But the desert has a gentle way of returning things, not to hurt me, but to help me understand them. I sit upon a dune shaped by centuries of forgotten footsteps, and I realize that mine too will disappear someday. Yet the echo of my heart, the truth I whispered, will linger in the grains as long as the dunes continue to breathe. The sky stretches endlessly above me, a tapestry of stardust and lonely constellations that feel like mirrored pieces of my own soul. I hold my chest, feeling the slow rhythm of a heart still unsure of its place in the world, and the sand supports me, rising softly beneath me as if to say I am safe. Sometimes I hear the desert speak, not in words, but in the shifting sigh of its body, a language older than any human tongue, a language that understands sorrow better than sound ever could. I tell it everything I never dared tell the living. I tell it of the nights when my silence screamed louder than thunder, of the days when I carried my fears like burning coals in my palms, of the moments when I wanted to vanish like a mirage, leaving no trace of myself behind. The desert listens, patient as always, its vastness a gentle reminder that I am just one fragile soul, among countless others who walked here carrying their own invisible wounds. And somehow knowing that makes my secret feel less heavy. The moon rises higher, draping silver across my hidden grief, turning it into something almost beautiful. The night breeze cools the heat behind my eyes, as if wiping away tears I haven't yet allowed to fall. And in that quiet, I feel the sand shifting beneath my palms, not to swallow my secret, but to cradle it, softly, tenderly, like a truth that deserves compassion, not shame. I look toward the horizon, where darkness meets the first hint of dawn, and I wonder how many others stood right here, hoping the desert would understand them too, hoping the dunes would carry their stories, the way they now carry mine. The sand knows my secret, and for the first time, I am not afraid of being known. The sand shifts as if it understands the weight I carry, as if every grain has memorized the trembling curve of my emotions. I walk further, letting the winds erase the path behind me, not to forget where I came from, but to remind myself that endings can be gentle too. The sky above softens into a deep indigo, the first stars arriving like tiny lanterns for my spirit. I tilt my head upward, feeling their quiet approval, their patient glow seeping into the cracks in my chest. The desert breathes with me. Every inhale feels like I'm taking in centuries of wisdom. Every exhale feels like releasing a lifetime of burdens. The sand listens with a tenderness no human ever mastered. It never interrupts. It never turns away. I speak to it without sound. Only the trembling rhythm of my heartbeat. Only the trembling memory of what I once was. The sand accepts everything, even the parts of me I still struggle to face. A warm breeze moves across my skin, carrying sense of stillness, carrying echoes of forgotten stories, carrying a promise that nothing I feel is too heavy for this place. I sit beside a tall dune, its shadow stretching like a protective arm around me. Here, loneliness is not sharp. It is soft, wide, a place to breathe without fear. I close my eyes and let memories rise. Some arrive like soft sparks, others like storms I once thought would end me. But here in this gentle quiet, even the painful memories lose their claws. The sand hums beneath me, a low vibration of empathy, as if it has carried similar secrets for ages, as if it knows that broken hearts are not tragedies, only beginnings waiting for truth. I let my fingers drift across the surface, drawing shapes I don't fully understand, lines that curve toward hope, circles that promise return, patterns that feel older than my sorrow. A whisper rises inside me. Light, small but real. It says I am allowed to grow again, It says my secret does not define me. It simply marks the place where I first learned to feel deeply, and so I stay with the sand, in this vast, quiet temple of silence and truth, knowing that whatever I leave buried here will not be abandoned, only transformed. The sand knows my secret even when the sky turns dark, and the wind sharpens like a cold memory. It hears the trembling inside the silence I carry, and it wraps me gently in its shifting warmth. I sit on the edge of a dune, letting my fears settle, watching the horizon melt into the night. The desert never rushes me. It waits, patient as an old friend. Sometimes I feel the world has forgotten me, but the sand never does. It remembers the sound of my footsteps, the quiet sighs I release into the wind, the heaviness I try to swallow alone. Under the moon's silver blessing, I speak the truth I never dared to face. The desert listens with sacred calmness, and something inside me loosens at last. I feel the weight of unspoken words turning softer, like dunes smoothing beneath the evening breeze. I feel the ache in my chest deepening, but somehow becoming easier to hold. The sand carries my confessions, farther than my courage ever could. It spreads them across endless miles, diluting the pain until only understanding remains. I close my eyes and feel its warmth rising, hugging the fragile pieces of my soul. It tells me I am not broken, just reshaping, just shifting, just becoming something new. I lean back, letting the desert cradle me, letting its ancient calm slip into my bones. The stars blink like distant witnesses, soft, gentle knowing. The night whispers around me, like a lover tracing forgotten scars. Every breeze is a reminder that healing is not loud or sudden. It is subtle, patient, carried in quiet winds. The sand knows my secret, yet it never uses it against me. Instead, it protects it, buried beneath the soft golden hush. Safe from judgment, safe from the world, safe even from myself. And in that mercy, I find a freedom I have never felt before. The sand rises gently around my ankles, as if trying to hold me in this moment a little longer, as if afraid I might drift away with the winds. Before my heart finishes unfolding, I feel the desert breathing with me. Slow, deep, ancient breaths that guide my own trembling chest toward something calmer, clearer. I close my eyes and the world softens. The silence is no longer empty. It is full of memory, full of presence, full of the things I never let myself feel. The sand cradles my fear without crushing it. It lets it rest, lets it settle, lets it dissolve grain by grain, until it is no more than a distant echo. Night deepens, painting the dunes in shades of silver and longing. The moon outlines every curve of the land, as though tracing the lines of my own uncertain heart. A breeze passes, cool, curious, almost tender. It brushes my face, like someone who once cared for me deeply, and still lingers in the folds of my memory. I tell the night my truth, not through words, but through the way my shoulders finally relax, through the tears I no longer hide. The sand listens, unmoving. It was built to hold stories like mine, stories spilled in the dark, stories carried by broken-hearted wanderers.